Alright, what's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we have episode 9 of season 2 of the Look In series, a series where at the end of each 30-team season, I look at them, recap their year, look at the future, what state the team is in, all this stuff like that. Today's episode is on the Utah Jazz. Got some stuff to talk about with this team, and we're going to do it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Join the membership if you want to learn more about the membership. There's a video on my channel explaining all of it. If you missed any other Look In episodes, you can go back. There's a playlist on my channel. You can watch all of them. I'll link to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that in the description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the Utah Jazz this season, they finished 31-51, 12th in the Western Conference, their worst record since the 2014 season. Kind of similar to last year where they started off really nice. They had a really good stretch in about mid-December, January, where they were on fire. They were in the play-in, and it was like, wait, can the Jazz make some noise? And then the trade deadline comes, they trade away some of their guys, and then they kind of let the young guys play and kind of tank the rest of the year, which is similar to what they did last year. Not really many expectations. I expected the Jazz to come in and have a tanking year the entirety of the year, but they were competitive midway through the season before trading off some of their veteran players, letting some of their rookies and guys play, and then they kind of tanked the rest of the year. They finished 31-51. And I think they have a very interesting future, because I do think they definitely have some things that I like going forward for the future. Lauri Markkanen came out this year and proved that last year was not a fluke. He's still a really good player. He averaged 23 and 8, shot 48, 40, 90, basically, shooting. He only played in 55 games this year, and it's going to be very interesting for him. Next year, he's going to be in the last year of his extension, of his 4-year signing trade he did a couple years ago. It's not a full guaranteed. It's only $6 million guaranteed out of $18 million, and he's eligible for an extension. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Jazz do with Lauri Markkanen this offseason and going into next year. Do they keep him around? Do they think he is a building block of the future for this Utah team because he is still only 26 years old? Or do they say, you know what, the value's high, let's cash in on him right now, and get these picks and get some stuff for later, And also, a report came out earlier, I forgot if it was earlier today or yesterday, where Danny Ainge came out and said that he's ready for the Jazz to make a big splash this summer, which I thought was very interesting to say. With the state of the Utah Jazz right now, they're not in a position to compete, obviously, right now. They're going through a rebuild. This is like year 2 of their rebuild, kind of. They are going to have money, which we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. But why are we rushing to make a big splash for? Why are we rushing to be good right now if you're Utah? You have some good young players and stuff. Like, why are we rushing right now to be good? I don't understand. Especially in the Western Conference next year, that legitimately can be 12, 13 teams deep. Like, not even saying that as like exaggeration. Legitimately, the Western Conference could be 13 teams deep. Why are we rushing to be competitive right now when we have a bunch of young pieces, and things for the future, a couple picks from the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trade that we can work now, lose some games, tank, get some more pieces, and then maybe a little bit down the line when the West isn't as stacked, then we can make our move. And especially this year's free agency class isn't that crazy. Like, it's not like there's like superstars in this free agency class. There might be a few, but most likely none of them are going to Utah. So I don't really understand I'm ready to make a big splash. I don't understand. If I'm Utah, I'm holding on to my pieces. And honestly, next year is a good year to tank if you're in the Western Conference, because again, it's so many 13 teams deep that it's like, you know what, let's just tank and get a number 1 pick next year, if I'm Utah. But they have some young players that I really, really like. Keontae George is one of my favorite rookies. He was a mid-first-round pick out of Baylor. He averaged 13 points per game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot. Shooting was not great efficiency-wise. Shot 39, 33, 84. But I like what I saw this year. He kind of was the lead point guard role. He was in and out of the starting lineup, and he has some big explosive shooting nights. He has some games where, he was passing the ball really well, being the lead ball handler. I think he's a future star for the Jazz. I think he is going to be a really, really good player in the future, and I think the Jazz have a piece with him for the future, especially depending on what they do with Lauri Markkanen. If they do decide to trade Lauri Markkanen or something, I think Keontae George is a nice piece for the future. I really like what he did this year. Taylor Hendricks, their top 10 pick this year out of UCF, didn't really start playing until the second half of the year. He averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds, shot 38% from 3 in 40 games. He's also 20 years old. I think he's going to be a nice thing for the future. Kind of a guy that can do it on both ends. 3-and-D wing that also has potential to be a little bit more than that. You know, Walker Kessler didn't have the amazing second year like he did last year, but he still averaged 8, 7, 2.5 blocks per game, 65% shooting. At the end of the day, even if he's just like a shot blocking big, I mean, that's really, really nice to have. You know what I mean? Yeah, they have some pieces that are very interesting for the future. Colin Sexton had a big year this year. After the last couple years, he's been dealing with injuries and all this stuff like that. He came in this year, averaged 18 points, 5 assists, shot 48, 39, 86, played in 78 games this year. Had some explosive nights. So I love that Colin Sexton came out, had a good year like this. Even Kenny Lofton Jr., the last 4 games of the year, he averaged 14, 5, and 5 on 60% shooting. And he's still only 21 years old. Maybe the Jazz give him a shot next year as a rebuilding team. You know what I mean? So the Jazz have some interesting things for the future. You know what I mean? Not everything has worked out, though. The John Collins trade didn't work, really. He averaged 15 and 8. The numbers don't look bad, but if you watch him on the court, he didn't really do much for me, at least. And he still has $26 million next year and a $26 million player option that he's probably going to accept because no one's going to pay John Collins $26 million ever again. So, yeah, the Jazz, they have an interesting future. They have some good players I like. Is it complete yet? Absolutely not. But there's some things. Now we look towards the offseason. Their picks, right now, they have a projected first-round pick. It's projected at number 8 right now. But that pick is not safe with them. It's top 10 protected from some trades. So there's a potential that if that Jazz pick falls outside of the top 10, it's going elsewhere. Either to OKC or Washington. It's some weird protections and stuff that on the pick that I don't fully understand, honestly. But, I think they're most likely going to have a top 10 pick. If it does fall, that will suck for them. But I think having a top 10 pick would be nice for the Jazz this year. And I think they're in a position where they can kind of just draft talent. Draft for talent. I don't think they really need to draft for fit right now. I think drafting for talent would be nice. I think a forward would be nice. Right now, I think looking at it, Cody Williams, I think would be a solid pick for them. I like Montas Buzelis from the G League for the Utah if they get him. Stephon Castle, I think, is a really nice option if the Jazz are able to get him. A guy that has some potential upside for the future. Or even Ron Holland. I think the Jazz are in a spot where they can draft based on pop. They could draft based on kind of this guy can be something for the future. Because the Jazz, they have a lot of marketing. They have Keontae George, but they don't have a certified official, this is the guy we are building around for the future yet. Keontae George, I think, can become that guy maybe, potentially. Larry Markkinen might be a little bit older for that. And again, we don't know if he's going to be on the team for how much longer, how much they believe that he's going to be the future centerpiece of this team. So I think the Jazz can draft for star power, and try to get a future guy. But I don't think it's a necessity as well. They can do it, but it doesn't. It's not like they're kind of like the Wizards or something where they need a superstar for the future right now. Because they have good young players. So I think a guy like Stephon Castle, a guy like Ron Holland, Montas Buzelis, maybe a little bit more of a quote unquote project type player that has the potential but hasn't really shown it too much yet. But somewhere in them they have that. I think that would be nice for Utah. And getting them, if they can move up in the draft, I think potentially, Alex Starr and Zachary Reicher are kind of obvious ones I've been wanting to say for basically every team, but realistically around their spot, if they do keep around the 8th pick, I think, guys like Stephon Castle, Montas Buzelis, Cody Williams, Ron Holland, I think it would be nice maybe a 3 that could get in there, or even a guy like Jacoby Walter out of Baylor, a shooter that maybe could be a little bit more, who knows, so I think if the Jazz do keep that pick, that'd be nice. But they're also going to have another first-round pick, even if they don't keep that pick. They are going to have another first-round pick late from OKC. Right now it's projected at the 29th overall pick. So, and that late first-round pick is nice as well because then if you do want to draft for fit, there's also another pick. They have a 29 that you can draft for fit. Maybe get a forward or another guard that could also maybe have some pop but also can draft more for fit. So I like that. And they're also going to have a second-round pick that's projected right now at 32 from Washington. So they're potentially have 3 picks in this year's draft, 2 first-round picks potentially, which would be really nice for Utah to build for the future. And look at free agency. Like what Danny Ainge said, they want to make a big splash. I don't really agree with that right now. But they're going to have $44 million projected cap space right now. And their free agents, their biggest free agent, I guess, is Taylor Horn-Tucker. It's going to be unrestricted, but how much is Taylor Horn-Tucker a part of the future? I don't really think he's really a part of it. Chris Dunn, who has made a comeback this year, looks like an actual NBA player that's going to stick around for a little bit. He's an unrestricted free agent. After that, not really anything big. Looking at the salary cap table, again, you have John Collins on a big contract. Sexton and Clarkson have some decent contracts, not crazy. And then you have DeLar Marketing, where he's eligible for an extension. So we're going to see what happens with him. And after that, they don't really have anything big. I mean, again, they have like all rookies, basically after that on their salary. So they do have some money. But yeah, looking at this year's free agency class, it's like, are you going after Paul George? Are you going after Paul George? Probably not. And why would Paul George come to Utah? Tobias Harris, James Harden, Pascal. Looking at, there's not really, and then after that, those are really the only all-stars. After that, it's like DeMar DeRozan, Bruce Brown, OG, D'Angelo Russell. So it's like, what big splash are we talking about here? Unless you're talking about making a trade, which I don't really understand why Utah would try to go and trade for a star player at this point right now. Or also, I just don't think it makes sense. Right? I just don't think it makes sense for Utah to go out and make a big splash or make a big move and trade for a star. For what? And if you do trade for a star, you're trading for a star to get what, the 12th seed? Because after that, it's going to be a star, and then you're going to have what, Keontae George and Jordan Clarkson? And it's not like you're going to build a super team over here. So why are we, trying to make a big splash and do some things for agency when I think the game plan for the Jazz should be, let's tank, let's get a good pick for the next couple years, let's develop these young guys like Keontae George and Taylor Hendricks and Bryce Sensabaugh and whoever else we have here, and let's just, commit to the rebuild and see what we can do, see what draft picks and what young players we can develop in this. I think that's the plan for Utah Jazz, but I think they have a very interesting future. I think it's solid. I don't think it's the greatest, but it's not bad at all. I really like some of these young players that Utah has, and I think if they embrace the tank and embrace the rebuild, things are going to go well. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, also like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. If you want to see any other looking episodes, this playlist should be popping up here. You could go and check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.